May 5th, 2021 is a date that will go down in history as one of the most significant of the hectic space season that we are living in these last years. Okay, you may be wondering, what will Starship be used for? For long-haul trips to Mars and back, which could take up to 9 months each way. Musk is looking to install around 40 cabins in the payload area near the front of the upper stage. You could conceivably have 5 or 6 people per cabin if you really wanted to crowd people in. But mostly we would expect to see 2 or 3 people per cabin, and so nominally about 100 people per flight to Mars. The payload bay would also host common areas, storage space, a gallery, and a shelter where people could gather to shield from solar storms, where the sun belches out harmful charged particles into space. But as we have already said, before Mars, which is the original dream of Elon Musk, Starship will be called to play a key role in the reconquest of the moon on behalf of NASA. How? According to the current plan, a Super Heavy rocket will launch Starship into lunar orbit. Days later, a NASA Space Launch System rocket will launch the crew inside an Orion spacecraft towards the moon, which will rendezvous with the Starship while waiting in lunar orbit. The crew will transfer to the Starship and descend to the moon. After returning to lunar orbit aboard the Starship, the astronauts will reboard Orion and return to Earth. A bit complicated, don't you think? And at this point, a question arises. If the Starship is considered safe enough by NASA to drop humans on the moon, wouldn't it be just as safe and more logical for the crew to leave directly from Earth aboard the Starship? This would save NASA about $3 billion per mission and a difficult rendezvous and docking in lunar orbit. And that is why we feel like saying that probably, if common sense prevails over corporate logic, the future of a truly sustainable lunar exploration program will see Starship as the sole protagonist. But Starship's possible uses don't end there. The uncrewed or cargo version of Starship features a payload bay that opens up like the mouth of a crocodile. This would allow it to be used for launching satellites. SpaceX says the huge payload capacity opens up possibilities for new types of robotic science missions, including telescopes larger than the James Webb Observatory, the forthcoming successor to Hubble. The system also could even be used for high-speed journeys between different destinations on Earth. Musk has envisioned using Starship for rapid orbit-based transportation between any 2 cities on Earth, an ambitious or pretty wild idea called point-to-point travel. A Starship trip between New York and London, for example, would take an hour. And more, Starship could eventually carry people to destinations in the remote solar system, including gas giants such as Jupiter, but this remains a long-term objective. Perhaps Starship's most spectacular and revolutionary feature, however, is its way of returning to land. In order to bring other spacecraft back to Earth, engineers have relied on parachutes or designed the vehicle so that it can land on a runway. But the Starship upper stage takes a different approach. When it is ready to land, the ship initially re-enters the atmosphere at a 60-degree angle and then belly flops to the ground in the horizontal position. This mode of return relies entirely on the atmosphere to slow the vehicle's descent. The downside is that in this configuration, Starship is inherently unstable. The vehicle therefore uses 4 steel landing flaps positioned near the front and rear of the vehicle to control its descent. This is much like a skydiver uses their arms and legs to control a free fall. As Starship approaches the ground, it should be slow enough to execute an engine burn that flips the vehicle into a vertical position. It then uses the Raptors as retro rockets to guide the vehicle down to a safe landing. Musk says this general approach could be used to bring Starship down safely on any planetary surface in the solar system, Mars included.